everybody. My name is Mars. You can call me MG if you would like, and today I have for you my September reading wrap-up. September was both the Magical Readathon and the Summer Scare Readathon, so check out those vlogs if you want more in-depth thoughts on any of the books that I read for them, a little bit more of a play-by-play there, but I did have a great time reading for both of those readathons. I also read outside of those, so I have 17 books total to talk to you about today, and let's just get right into talking about them. So the first book that I picked up was The Outcast by Taryn Matheru, and this is the prequel to the Summoner series, which I absolutely adore. This prequel follows Arcturus, who is a mentor character to our main character in the Summoner series, and we kind of see his origin story and how he gets involved with the whole demon summoning thing. And I thought this was really fun. I had a great time with it. It was a little bit long. There were some moments that I felt like dragged, and I don't think it was really a necessary prequel, but I did appreciate getting to come back to this world. It was a little bit bittersweet because there are a lot of side characters in this book who are dead during the time of the main series, and it was just sad seeing them like pop up doing stuff and being like, "Oh, you're dead now." That's sad. So yeah, it was a little bit bittersweet, but I had a good time with this. I wish there were more books set in this world because I just love it so much, but Taryn Matheru does have several other series that I am excited to check out one day. Then I picked up Hex Hall by Rachel Hawkins, and this was a pleasant surprise. I had a fun time with this. In the same way that I have a fun time with the Vampire Academy books, I'm not taking them too seriously. I'm not looking for high literature or anything, but I'm just along for the ride. And this is also about a paranormal school. It does have more than just vampires, though. There are werewolves, there are witches, our main character is a witch, and it was just a silly, goofy time, and I don't think it's anything that's going to stick with me for very long, but I did enjoy it in the moment, and I'm excited to see what the rest of the series holds. After that, I picked up What If by Randall Munroe. This is a nonfiction book, and it is basically a bunch of what if questions that this guy actually went and researched what would happen if that scenario were to come true. So, for example, one of them is what if you had a hair dryer that maintained its like highest setting in perpetuity and you put it in a box and it just kept going. Like ridiculous stuff like that. And I thought this was fun. I think it was also very long. There were a lot of questions answered in this, and it's not anything I find myself wanting to return to or anything, but it was a good time in the moment. Then it was time for my annual reread of The Bone Houses by Emily Lloyd Jones. If you somehow don't know, this is my favorite book of all time. I read it every September as a birthday gift to myself, and I just adore everything about this book. It made me cry again, even though this is the fifth time I've read this book. I don't have anything else to say at this point. I just love this book, and I feel like everyone should read it. So if you take anything away from this video, that is the message here. Go read The Bone Houses, it's fantastic. Then I picked up Civil Disobedience and Other Essays by Henry David Thoreau, and it's kind of crazy how almost 200 years later, the things that were written about in these essays are still relevant, and by crazy, I mean concerning. Yeah, this was not my usual type of read, but I still had a pretty good time with it. I'm not going to reread these, probably, but I'm glad that I can say that I did read them. After that, I picked up Catabasis, R.F. Kuang's latest release, and this book was pretty much exactly what it says on the tin. So the blurb talks about two PhD students who journey into hell to save the soul of their PhD advisor so that they can finish their degrees, and they fall in love along the way. That's what happened in this book. It wasn't anything crazy or spectacular. I kind of got to the end and I was like, huh, yeah, that was exactly the book that I was promised. And I did enjoy it. I definitely liked this better than Babel, but not by a ton. I don't know. R.F. Kuang is an author that I enjoy, but I don't think she's like a favorite. I don't love her books, but I do like them, so I am excited to read more from her. This one very much put me in the mood for Dark Academia, which is great this time of year. I actually contemplated reading this and Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo back to back because they have similar premises of people journey into hell to save the soul of someone they know, but I had too many other things to read, so Hellbent did not happen in September. It is on my October TBR though, so I'm very excited to get to that. Then I tried to reread The Witch King by H.E. Edgman, and I ended up DNFing this about 20% through. I did not like the characters. I don't think the world building made much sense, and the writing style felt very high schooler who just made a Tumblr and is trying to be cool. I gave this a 5 out of 5 on Goodreads in what year was that? 2021, I think, when I first read it. So I guess my tastes have just changed dramatically because I did not want to continue this, and that's okay. I will pass it on in a little free library, and hopefully whoever finds it will like it more than I did this time around, and it just doesn't have to live on my shelf anymore. Then I picked up The Reaction by K.A. Applegate. This is, I believe, book number 12 in the Animorphs series. I am slowly but surely making my way through these books. I should probably pick up speed on that because there are over 50 of them, and I don't want to be reading this series for the rest of my life. This one was a little bit silly in its episodic premise, but I still had a fun time with it. I love the Animorphs, they're quick reads, and I'm excited to read more of them. Then I picked up Dear Mothman by Robin Gao, and I gave this a 10 out of 10. It was absolutely everything to me. This is a book about a trans boy in middle school who is dealing with the death of his best friend, who is the only other trans boy that he knows. And so he starts writing letters to Mothman because Mothman was his best friend's favorite cryptid. And this is how he processes his grief, and this is told in verse. And I just thought it was so well done, and it made me very emotional. And we also had some autism representation, which I didn't expect. Our main character is also autistic, as well as being trans, so good rep in there. I had a great time with this. Also, the cover is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. So, yeah, 10 out of 10, great book all around. Next, I read The Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka, and I read it a little bit physically, and then a little bit as an audiobook, and then the ending physically again, because it was a day where my attention span was not with me, so that's how I got through it, and I ended up really enjoying this. I was kind of scared going into it because I am not a fan of bugs in the slightest, and this is a story about a man who turns into a big bug, but I still had a great time. It wasn't super grotesque in its descriptions. It wasn't overly grotesque, we'll say. It was still a little bit gross at times, but in a way that felt necessary to the story. And I read this as an allegory for a loved one becoming disabled. That's kind of the way it read to me as a disabled person. And it was just very poignant, and I'm glad that I picked it up. After that, I read The Giver by Lois Lowry, which was the Nostalgia Train book club pick for the month. And I thought that I read this as a kid and disliked it, but as I was reading it, I was like, huh, I don't remember any of this at all. So I don't know what book I was mistaking it for, but I definitely did not read this before. And I had a good time with this. I didn't think it was anything fantastic, but I appreciate what it was able to accomplish in such a short amount of pages because this is very small. It's like a 200-page book, and it was good. I'm undecided if I'm going to continue on with the series. I know they're more like companions than actual continuations, and I don't know. I'm probably going to continue on, but maybe not anytime soon. I apologize for the dog that is barking in the background of some of these clips. I'm trying to film around it, but obviously that's not something I can control. Anyway, the next book I picked up was Whisper Down the Lane by Clay McLeod Chapman, and I ended up DNFing this pretty quickly. I just was not vibing with the writing style whatsoever. It was so hard for me to read, and I'm like, you know what? I don't have to keep going with it. I can give up. And so I did. And it's kind of a shame because I found this like near perfect condition copy in a little free library, and I was so excited based on the premise of this like dual timeline horror novel dealing with the satanic panic, but it didn't do anything for me, so I'm going to put it back in the little free library from whence it came. The next book I picked up was Volume 1 of Marygrave, which is a manga. I had planned on potentially reading all 5 volumes, but I am just not the manga binge reader that I once was, so I read Volume 1, and this is about a man who lives in a world of goblins and demons and just overall darkness, and despite this, he manages to find true love, except his wife dies. And so he is on this journey to collect objects to perform the dead man's recipe to bring his wife back to life. And this recipe is kind of like folklore. It's more of like a rumor, except he knows it exists because his wife used this recipe on him to save his life once and turned him into this immortal being. So that is the premise, and it is a lot less dark than I thought it would be. I thought it would be very grimdark, but it has more of a like dark comedy tone, which was jarring, but I did enjoy it, and I will be reading the rest of the volumes at some point in time. Then I picked up the Lightning Thief graphic novel, and I kind of hated this, which hurts to say because I love The Lightning Thief. I love Percy Jackson. I love all of Rick Riordan's books. You can see this shelf over here. That's all Rick Riordan, except for there's a couple of books facing out on it that I just have there because they're pretty and I want to display them and I didn't have any other space. Anyway, I love Rick Riordan. I saw Rick Riordan like speak this month. I went to the release for The Court of the Dead, so Rick Riordan and Mark Oshiro were there, and I saw them in person. Like, that's how much I'm a huge fan of Rick Riordan. I went to this event, but this just wasn't it for me. I feel like they cut out a lot of scenes that I enjoy, like Medusa, not in here at all. I love the Medusa scene. We took out a lot of context from other scenes, so I get that it's gonna go faster because it's a graphic novel. You have a limited number of pages, but like I feel like you could have made this longer and kept in some more of the context. Like Percy gets to Camp Half-Blood on page like 2. Like there's very little tension because the pacing gets so chopped up from this, and I feel like if I hadn't read the actual book before and I had just gone into the story with this, I would not care about it whatsoever. So yeah, a little bit disappointing in that regard. Then I picked up The Three Body Problem by Cixin Liu, translated by Ken Liu, and I read this physically while listening to the audiobook because I was super intimidated by this, and that is how I get through long or intimidating books. But I found that it actually wasn't so bad once I got into it. I kind of just built it up to be this magnificent high sci-fi thing in my head, and it was. It does deal with a lot of things that are way beyond my mental capacity because I am not a science-brained person, but it was also more accessible than I thought it would be, and I had a good time with this. I'm very intrigued to see where the rest of the series goes. This kind of gives me Ender's Game vibes. I don't know why. I really enjoy the movie for Ender's Game. I read the book and it was good. The anti-Semitic tones to it were a little bit much for me, so I don't love the book, but the story itself is something that I am intrigued by, and this gives the same feelings for me, so I definitely want to read the rest of this series. Then I picked up another book as both a physical book and audiobook at the same time, and that was The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R.R. Tolkien. I read this as a buddy read with my friend Stieg. We are reading the entire trilogy at some point this fall. I don't know if we're doing like one book a month or what the whole situation is, but yeah, Fellowship, I read. I actually finished the audiobook for it 3 hours before it was due back at my library, so really cutting it close there, but I did get it done. And I just forgot how much stuff happens in this book. Like 300 pages in and we've just finished the Council of Elrond. Like there was so much before that that I just didn't remember happening because it's been so long since I've read the book. and a lot of things like the entire saga with Tom Bombadil are just not in the movies, and I remember the movies better than the books at this point in time. But I had a really fun time with this. The Andy Serkis audiobook is phenomenal. I will definitely be getting that for the rest of the series as well. So, yeah, another first book in a series. Had quite a few of those this month, but this is a reread, so it doesn't really count, right? And the final book that I have to talk to you about today is Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross. This is set in the same world as the Divine Rivals duology. What is that called? The Letters of Enchantment, I think, is the actual duology name, but it's Divine Rivals and Ruthless Vows, which I love those books. Both of them got a 10 out of 10 for me. Rebecca Ross has become a favorite author in the past year. I've read, is that 8 of her books now since last December? So in the past 10 months, I've read 8 out of 9 of her books. I still have to read Sisters of Sword and Song, and I kind of want to get to that in October or November so I can like read her whole catalog in one year. But that is neither here nor there. Wild Reverence was her recent release, and it was really good. It was a bit long. I feel like the setup section in the beginning definitely could have been trimmed down quite a bit, but I still had a really good time. There's just something about her writing that is so inviting to me. Like, I read it and I want to keep going with it. I want to live in this world. This was very sad, very bittersweet, but I still had a really good time. And it really made me want to reread the Letters of Enchantment duology because at the end, in the like epilogue, there's like a little tie-in to that like directly. And I know it's been less than a year since I read those books, and normally I don't reread books until it's been at least a year since I read them. But like I want to get back to those so bad because I truly just loved everything about them. So we'll see if that happens by the end of the year. If not, I'll add it to my to-do list for 2026. And those were all of the books that I picked up in the month of September. Let me know in the comments what you guys have been reading lately so we can chat about them. The loud car going by, of course, always happens during my outros, but we have now come to the end of the video. If you've enjoyed it, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. You can subscribe to my channel for more content, and that way I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, everyone.